All right, now for the biggie. The words that no one wants to hear, the words that strike fear into admissions members' ears the world over, right? What's the word? The words are the closing or close, right? It's where we actually ask them to buy, ask them to enroll. In this video, we're going to learn exactly how to ask the future professional to enroll in our school. But if we're going to do that, let's talk about when the close actually starts. See, too many of us think that the close begins at the end of the interaction, right? At the very end of the tour. That's not where it happens, because it doesn't. The close begins the minute they pick up that phone. To illustrate my point, let me have you take you back, right? The last car you bought. You know that turd salesman, right? That was like, he got the chest hair and he's got the gold chains. You know the guy. He's got the slicked hair and the button is way too low, like the last button. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. That guy sucks. And you know why that guy sucks? Because he doesn't listen to anything that you said up until the point he asked you to buy and you told him to pound sand. That's when he started really listening. That stinks. I don't want to be that guy. And I don't want you to be that person. So let's first all agree that where the close begins. The close begins the second they utter their first words to you, which means we really have to listen to everything they say so we understand exactly who they are by the time we go to close. Because if we do, when we go to ask them to enroll, it isn't really asking. It's a foregone conclusion because we understand exactly who they are and what they want out of the school. And they, in turn, know and understand that we are exactly what they're looking for. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about how the end piece goes. But before we do, let's let Emily show you exactly how you should never do this, how it should never be done. I've given a name to each and every one of these egregious type of closings, all right? And I'm hoping you enjoy the names that I've assigned to them because they are kind of funny. If you're annoyed with them, please don't send me emails. Actually, I would like to hear from you. But either way, I promise these are going to be funny. They're meant to be funny. But again, look for that little grain of truth because I promise you, each and every one of these I have seen over and over and over again with just a little bit of the drama cut out. The first one we're going to watch, I call the hard hitter.
Look, just sign the paper, Jill. You know you want to. So let's just get this contract signed so we can all go home, okay?
Blah. See, I hate it. You hate it. Everybody hates it. No one wants that. I'm not teaching you to do that. Don't ever do it. All right. The next one's called the hider.
Okay, I'm glad I got to meet you today. I'm just gonna go over and check on a couple things and I'll be right back, okay?
Look, it is kind of funny, but you know what is not funny about this? It happens all of the time. I will sit in these schools, people say, oh yeah, the admission person goes, oh yeah, let me go grab this. And then they go out and then they talk to a director, they talk to a student, they talk to another employee, and they leave this person sitting in the room in there for 15 minutes. I have seen it so many times. Now you may not actually be hiding, you may actually be finding out important information. Stop doing it. Make sure you're prepared. This is egregious. Don't be shocked when this person doesn't enroll. She was annoyed. She's sitting there looking at her phone, falling asleep. Stop it. All right, let's talk about the next one. We call this one the runner.
Well, Jill, it has been sure fun meeting with you today.
Sure.
So just give me a call if you need anything. I'll be here, but I've actually got to go to my next tour, so I will just call you. Okay?
I actually do have a question. Do you happen to know
Yes,
if
look, I'd love to answer all of your questions. I really would, but I have another tour coming in, so I don't want to be
One
rude.
little thing.
But if you could just email me any questions, that would be so great.
I
Okay, now we'll be in
But
touch.
wait, I was
Bye-bye.
hoping maybe that if there was like a
yes,
chance.
me too. I know. I hope for so many things, but I gotta run now. Okay, so
Okay.
just bye-bye. Yes, just go.
Okay, that one, by the way, is one of my favorites. Look, let me tell you where that comes from. You know, one of the most commonly asked questions I get is someone asks me, well, Rob, how long should a tour last? There's two answers to that. The first answer is 45 minutes to an hour and 15, somewhere right around there, right? But the better answer is, well, as long as it takes to enroll them. If you have someone that's saying, hey, I just have a couple questions and I'm in, I'm signing, I'm ready to go, take a little bit extra time for heaven's sakes. You go, yeah, but Rob, I got someone out there waiting for me. What do I do? It's my next tour. That's what your directors are for. Directors, step up, help them. Get this person enrolled. Stop acting like you got more important things to do. Someone's trying to ask questions, answer their questions. Someone's trying to enroll them. Now, I'm not talking about the person who's just trying to soak your time, that is not going to buy, that's never going to enroll, and that is a complete waste of time because they have no interest in enrolling and they're just soaking up your time. I'm not asking them, I'm not talking about that person, okay? What I am talking about is the person who says, I'm really interested, but I've got some more questions, and you go, I can't do that, we'll talk soon. No. Enroll them, for heaven's sakes. Let your directors, let your assistants step in, whoever has to, let them step in and help the person out front. You gotta do it. If you wanna enroll, you gotta pay the price, and sometimes that's the price. All right, for the next one, we call this one the Hoper. There's a lot of hope to go around. We're spreading the hope and the change and the hope, hope, hope.
Well, I hope you had a good time today on your tour, and I hope we showed you everything that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So if you want to let me know if you want to come to our school or not, that would be super great. So, thank you.
Look, you can hope all you want. I hope they make flying cars and hoverboards soon, because I'm in. But until then, let's live in reality. And the reality is that hope doesn't produce enrollments. Now, if those didn't look familiar, this one might ring some bells. We call it the Professional Packet Peddler.
So, Jill, it was sure fun to have you in school. You seem to fit right in. So here's what I'm going to do. I want you to have this packet. It has all of the information I gave you today, like the prices, schedules, the upcoming start dates. So just take it home and go over it with your mom, see what she thinks, and then give me a call next week and we can talk about the next steps to take, okay?
Okay.
Well, that's pretty good, right? Rob's okay. Give him a packet. Should I not be giving packets? No, listen. Emily was kind in her packet peddling, right? But if it were free packets that we were here to sell at the school, look, she'd be our superstar salesperson of the month. We'd have her name up on the board. Awful, awful. You're not there to paddle packets. Packet paddlers? Paddle packets? What are we saying? Peddling packets. You're not there to do that either. Any of those things. We deal in life-changing education. You guys, be really careful not to use those packets as crutches. Look, they're there as backup plans. They are not the plan. Okay, so now I've had a chance to calm down from the packet peddler. I want to show you this scenario. We call this the Walmart checker. And by the way, this one should look very familiar. We talked about not being a Walmart checker earlier. And go, Emily.
Well, do you have any other questions for me? Is there anything I can help you find?
No, I think that about does it. I'll go home, talk it over with my mom, and I'll get back to you.
All right, sounds good. Just let me know if you need anything. I'm
Okay.
here to help.
Well, at least she was nice about it, right? Your job's not to be an order taker. Your job is to help other people step out of their comfort zone and take the next step in their lives. You can't do that if you're saying things like, hey, do you have any other questions for me? Shut up, it's a stupid question. And if you think that's asking them to buy, it isn't. It just isn't. Okay, last one. We called this one the Kamikaze.
Okay, so you've seen the school, you've seen what we have to offer, and even met some of the students, and I know that's a lot to take in, so why don't you just go ahead and think about it, and I'll follow up in the next week.
Okay.
All right, this one should hit home with you. This one is not that dramatic. I see this one all the time, right? What happens is we get in and we get scared. There's a kernel of fear that's in our heart as we ask someone to buy, right? Fear that you'll scare them off. And if you ask them to buy, all of a sudden they're going to run for the hills. Fear that they'll hate you in the school if you ask them to buy. I get that, right? They're going to say bad things about us if we ask them to enroll right there on the spot, if we ask them to buy. Look, I don't blame you for being uneasy asking people to spend money when you've only just met them. I get that. But let's look at this thing for what it really is. You haven't just met them. You spoke to them on the phone for almost 10 minutes. And when you spoke, you didn't speak. Remember, you let them talk. You asked them questions and they gave you strong answers. And you listened to everything they had to say. Then, when they came into the location, you sat down and you listened to them all over again as they told you more about their love and passion for the industry and all the specific things that they have passion about. You then took them on a tour where you asked more questions and again listened to them, understood them, and validated each and every one of their heartfelt, insightful responses. You should feel as though you're chatting with an old friend whose story is just crystal clear to you, and who came to you for help. You didn't go to them. You didn't call them out of the white pages. Those don't even exist anymore, so that makes sense, right? They came to you for help with their career, help with their lack of direction in their life. But, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
In this case, I think you're right. You didn't cold call me out of the white pages. I know, because those don't even really exist anymore.
Dang it, Jill, that was my joke. You can't crack that same joke. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Also, because I remember filling out that form and telling you to call me. So, they really shouldn't feel guilty for asking me to enroll. That's literally why I came in.
See, I didn't even tell her to say that.
Yes, you did. In fact, I think you said...
Oh, gosh, Jill, I think your camera dropped. I'm not sure what happened, but anyway, I don't want to get lost in the details here, who said what, because it doesn't really matter, but what were we talking about? Oh, closing. All right, so now you know how not to close. Let's talk about how to close properly, all right? There are 3 introductory questions I want you to use in the closing portion of your next tour, okay? The questions will begin very benign and low pressure. As they give us positive responses, the questions will become more pointed and deliberate. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's have Emily show you how the first question should look and sound. Take it away, Emily.
Okay, so you've had a chance to see the campus and you were able to experience a lot of what our school is all about. How are you feeling about everything?
Oh my gosh, questions don't get much more benign than that. How are you feeling about everything, right? That's so low pressure, very low pressure, right? Okay. Oh, and by the way, here's a graphic of that so you can read along. All right, makes sense? Now that we have our first question asked, let's assume they answer in the positive. In other words, they said things like,
It has been great. I mean, the school has such a good vibe. I love it.
Hey, okay, wait a minute. They don't always say that. What do I do if they say,
It's all right. It's just a little bit far from my house.
okay, or she's being real snot and she says,
It's okay, I guess.
what then, Rob? What am I supposed to do? Not all of them are that easy, Some of these sales I have to work really hard for.
I know you do, I know. And we'll get to that, I promise. But let's first figure out how to close the easy ones so we don't let them slip through the cracks, right? And then we'll work on the harder ones. Okay, so back to our lead telling us she loves us.
It has been great. I mean, the school has such a good vibe. I love it.
All right, the future professional responds in the affirmative. In other words, they're excited. You move on to question number 2, which is,
Rob, you realize that you forgot to validate me, right?
ah, crap, you're right.
That's okay, Rob. No one's perfect. I'll take it from here. Look, it's so important that you validate me. If I don't feel like you're listening to me, I'm so much less likely to enroll. Mostly because I won't feel like you really care. So please, validate me when I say nice things about your school. Or maybe just validate me anytime I give my opinion, make a statement, or share a feeling. This whole thing is super overwhelming. So right now, it'll really help me to know via verbal cues that you're on my side listening to me. Truly listening.
Look, Jill's right. In fact, she's always right. And yes, sometimes we forget to validate. That's okay. If you notice yourself not validating, it's never too late. Make sure you start the second you recognize what you've done, or in this case, haven't done. In fact, let's have Emily quickly show you how that validation might sound.
It has been great. I mean, the school has such a good vibe. I love it.
Oh, thank you. It really does have a great vibe, doesn't it? And I love that you're really feeling it here. There are so many amazing people in the school, and I think they bring that vibe with them every day.
Great validation, Emily. All right, so now Emily would go on to question number 2, which is,
So, Jill, do you feel like we have the tools and facility to get you where you want to go?
aha, perfect. Well done, Emily. All right, see? Very low pressure, but a bit more pointed and close-ended. Here's a graphic just in case you missed it. So how's Jill going to respond?
Yeah, I actually really like it here, and I love that you guys have that spot. Now that was super cool.
Oh my gosh, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
And I saw you light up when we were in there. It was really cool. Oh, and so let me ask you a question. Does this feel like somewhere you could see yourself coming to and being a part of every day?
And there it is. The most direct and aggressive my questions will get.
But Rob, that wasn't aggressive at all.
Exactly. It really isn't. It's super low pressure. But then there's another reason it doesn't really feel like high pressure. Because we eased them into it. In other words, we got them to agree 2 different times that they liked it here. So when it comes to me asking them if they can see themselves going here, right, and being a part of it every day, it feels very natural. Add to that all the validations, and you have a lead who feels right at home.
I really do feel right at home here. It reminds me of my best friend's house. When I was little, she...
All right, Jill, don't push it. They get it. They get it.
Oh, dang it, Rob! Just let her talk. Jill, you were saying it reminds you of your friend's house. What a great memory. It sounds like you had some supportive friends growing up.
You know, you teach people things and you don't realize that they're actually gonna really someday maybe be a little bit better than you are. Tear to my eye. Tear to my eye, Emily. That was amazing. In fact, it reminds me of a gal I was working with one time. Her name was Brittany. She was amazing at validations too. She was so good.
Brittany sounds amazing, and sounds like you've taught a lot of people over the years.
Well, wait a minute. That'll do, Emily. You're an amazing validator. We all get it. But we're gonna run out of time. So, really quick, let's show a graphic of that last question. Just to kind of illustrate to you how important validations are, I'm going to show you the same questions and what they look like without validating the person's answers, okay? We made a quick clip, but I want to warn you. You may want to take small children out of the room because what you're about to see is at the very least annoying and insensitive. At the very most, it's aggressive, cold, and ruthless, not to mention pushy and unfeeling. So if you're sensitive to insensitivity, you may want to look away for this one.
It has been great. I mean, the school has such a good vibe. I love it.
Okay, and do you feel like you have the tools and facilities to get where you want to go?
Yeah, I really like it here, and I love that you guys have a spa. I mean, that was super cool.
So does this feel like somewhere you could see yourself coming to and being a part of every day?
See, that is miserable. There's no way that Jill feels loved and listened to and respected and understood. It just feels like you're reading a script to her. So please, oh please, validate each and every one of her responses. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about what it looks like when they don't give you the answer you want to hear. What do we say?
Okay, so you've had a chance to see the campus and you were able to experience a lot of what our school is all about. How are you feeling about everything?
It's okay, I guess.
Okay, so it sounds like you might have some concerns. Tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about everything and maybe I can help.
That's it. It really can be that easy to get them to talk about how they're feeling. Just state that you sense that they have a concern and that you then just sort of offer help. Sometimes that's all it takes. Be careful not to move on to the next closing question until you've resolved all of their concerns. If you often find yourself in a situation of the future professional not talking, and you'd like to learn better how to handle that, check out our video where we cover labeling, mirroring, reflecting, and confronting. There is a lot of really helpful information in that video. For now, make sure to ask your 3 closing questions as you go into the close and validate each one of their responses. If you do, you'll be amazed at the positive responses you get.